never gonna understand how this works. Either way, folks, thank you all for being here. This is Star Ladder EU coverage, and we've got Arcade Power Rangers versus Alternate up first. So I hope you're going to enjoy that this time with less microphone muted. My excuse is it's early in the morning.
So it's my fault for not reminding you, right?
No, not at all. I'm practicing new mic protocol because I normally used to mic from my microphone and it makes a slight clicking sound, which you just heard. Now I try to mic from OBS, but mic mute from OBS and I forget. Either way, we got a draft. Enough talk. Doom, Shadow Fiend. Pretty much what you have to ban out, and alternate attacks play Wisp some, so that gets banned out by Arcade. And now we're going to be having Bane Doxia picked up.
Yeah, and on top of that we get the Tusk, which is cementing himself back as the first pickable hero after not being too favoured the past few days, it feels like.
Yeah,
at least in the first stage.
I think different teams have different preferences or something strange. Obviously no huge expert on exactly why teams prefer it, but it just seems like some teams, maybe they scrim each other a lot and are like, we're done, we're not doing the Tusk today. So
some of the reason for that could be, as you say, in scrims they don't like how it plays, they don't like how they have to play around the hero. Obviously every team in the world knows it's a good hero, they're not gonna not play it because they don't like it, but maybe ATN prefer the fact that Bane's a really mobile support and he secures lanes a tiny bit more than a Tusk does, and Darkseid puts a good amount of pressure and he might work better for them in team fights, etc. Makes sense that why not go for it. But the one thing Arcade do have going for them is they have two exceptionally defensive and possibly offensive heroes to open up with.
Definitely a really nice combo there. I feel like Bane Doxia, it's a great way to lock down your opponents, and if they go for some sort of hard carry on Arcade, you're going to be able to punish that by getting a replicant of your own. Already good against the Tusk, and so we'll see what else is going to be coming out there.
Reserve time.
Oh, and it's the Undying. Okay, so this, if they decide that they're running the Undying Doxia lane, I guess you can still do that. It's maybe overkill. It really shuts down your opponent's carry.
It gives them a lot of options though, because as you say, they can do that aggressive dual lane. They could maybe do something like Darkseid in a one-on-one and then go for an aggressive tri-lane with Undying Bane +1. So right now Arcade really have the heroes to show up their safe lane with the Tusk and the Dazzle. They just need to make sure their carry isn't susceptible. Something like a Spectre would be a really hard to pull off pick here, whereas if you go for something like, I don't know, I need the hero pull in front of me to make these things. I don't know why I do them.
You should I just sometimes pull it up on the side, but I feel like this Nyx Assassin, this has been coming back into favor, and I'm really surprised almost. It does feel like he fell off a bit. It wasn't really that he was picked or nerfed. Oh, sorry, it wasn't that he was buffed or nerfed. He just wasn't valued as much as other offlaners, and now he's getting picked a lot again. He also could be support here, though.
Reserve time.
Pretty much the reason he's come back, I feel like, is A, there's a lot of heroes like Quap, which he did really well against. This game, not the case, but Darkseid, Bane, both really susceptible to Nyx. Bane's slightly tanky as a support, so he's not as easy to kill him. But the mana burn rapes Darkseid. You can initiate with the Carapace on him from Iron Shell, so it's really easy to get pickoffs on him. And dying not so much, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see whether he can utilize the Carapace super effectively. It's, I think, something where you can potentially set up the gank, since now it doesn't break Vendetta. You do the little wander around, find someone who has the eye, or find the Doxia, maybe has the Ion Shell on himself or the creeps, and you can stun him without him maybe expecting it, and get a little bit of extra time to set up that stun before the surge.
That was such a good change to the hero.
Radiant team pick.
Now ATM back off for the anti-mage as opposed to continuing with the aggression.
Yeah, I feel like they are picking I mean, this seems like they've got some space being made, but it's also a bit strange from the standpoint of Darkseer Undying, clearly teamfight heroes. Bane, you can argue, is a bit of both. He's got potential for single pick-off, he's got potential for teamfight. But I feel like Anti-Mage is clearly that I'm not going to bother with you all. And maybe these heroes are just to stall things out for alternate. If there's a teamfight, maybe they'll just drop the Tombstone. Darkseer, you know, Ion Shells out the wave a little, they can all run away. It does worry me, though, that they've got such teamfight-oriented heroes, and then Anti-Mage is just going to be AFK probably for the first 30 minutes at least.
One thing about the anti-mage that a lot of people don't take into account, though, is he's a really strong hero at dealing with offlaners. Like, Nyx can't really do too much, except trade hits with the anti-mage once your mana's gone, and he's not going to win that war, so... On top of that, he's really good against the Tusk.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to initiate on a blinking hero with Snowball, unless you somehow get an amazing shard block, but still. I think it's just... They're playing up against what they might perceive to be a better team, and they want this really aggressive lane to cement them some kind of advantage, and then they want something to fall back on later if they make one or two mistakes in the mid game.
Now, they're not wrong. Phantom Lancer is a hero that needs a lot of farm, so both of these lineups kind of saying, we're going to wait for our carry to get bigger. Who do you think wins head-to-head? I feel like the Anti-Mage doesn't need maybe... I feel like once Phantom Lancer gets Diffusal, he's obviously very strong. But if Anti-Mage catches the rest of the heroes, not maybe the Phantom Lancer, out alone, he can always kill them once he gets Manta.
I think it's slightly easy on the PL, but it completely depends on the build. Something that Miracle from Southeast Asia made possible, or popular, sorry, was like Blink Abyssal on PL, and that's a really good way of killing Anti-Mage because it gives you enough lockdown to burn most of his mana in the Abyssal, and if you get one or two bashes afterwards, then the Anti-Mage dies. You can apply the same logic to Anti-Mage on PL, but he generally builds like at least a Scatty or a Heart, so he's slightly tanky, and on top of that, you've got to find him among multiple illusions. But as big of difference as it is, it's going to come down to the teams. Like, Dazzle, Tusk are both really good heroes at saving the PL. Nyx is a really good hero at initiating on the Anti-Mage, and on top of that, stopping people from helping the Anti-Mage if he gets initiated on.
And I feel like if at all they manage to grip the right PL, right, that guy's gonna go down. You're not exactly the tankiest of heroes until quite late into the game. You take ages to tank up as a PL. So, not exactly expecting him to be able to withstand being fiend scripted.
That's where the Tusk and Dazzle come in, though. Obviously, you can snowball the PL, you can grave him, so then he gets stood off or walk away. But they do have good ability to chase on ATN. The Darkseer obviously can keep going. Nightstalker's a really good hero at putting a lot of aggression on as well early. But this does mean it's either a mid Nightstalker or some kind of weird Undying or...
Probably the mid Nightstalker, right? I also think this is now a really rough lane. Having to play a Nightstalker into a Razor, that's not fun.
Could maybe do the anti-mage against Razor because you can all away from the link and then you can just CS as normal. Then you do some like weird aggressive tri-lane with Nightstalker and Dying Bane, which is going to apply a lot of pressure, and then you've got the Darkseer, which fine one-on-one against Nyx. Theory. But I don't know, they have a lot of weird options they could pull out here. It's a very unconventional draft, to say the least.
Yeah, and I feel like if they can pull it off and make enough room for Exotic Deer, this is going to be great. Unfortunately, it could be really rough for them, and
10 seconds
it does feel like they're going to need...
5 seconds remaining.
They're going to need quite a bit of luck, because I definitely think that a Razor Phantom Lancer are going to outscale just the Anti-Mage, if left alone. Either way, let's jump right into it, because we've got a game on our hands. We have got L playing up on, or Leisha, but I call him L on the Bane. We've got Robert G on the Undying. Exotic Deer, of course, playing the hard carry on the Anti-Mage. Darkseer being played up by Nisha. And finally, Nightstalker is going to be on Supreme, who actually yesterday played a really good Invoker.
Yeah, unfortunately won't be seeing that this game at least. Over for Arcade, we've got J4 the captain on Dazzle. CH... I have no idea how that's
Cheshire
meant to be
Cat.
pronounced.
That's Cheshire Cat,
Yes.
and also your mic
Cheshire-
needs to be like 1 millimeter out of your mouth because we're getting a tiny bit of.
So Cheshire Cat on the Nyx, Bignum on the Tusk, Barash on the Razor, and I have no idea how to pronounce the
That's
PL's
Tron.
name. So
PL is Tron.
okay, thank you
Not
very
sure
much.
how
At
that
least you know how this
becomes.
works.
Yeah, it's actually funny. This lineup of arcade Power Rangers, or I guess they're just arcade now. Tron used to be on. I want to say he was on Yellow Submarine, which then became Prius, and Barash was there with him. And then there was this big CIS shuffle, as it usually is, caused by Navi picking up players, and now they're here on Arcade. And I do have to say I like it. Arcade has been playing pretty well recently. And with that, we're going to be seeing Runes going to their respective mids, and everyone should be happy about that. Now, Night Stalker, I don't quite see a way that he can win this lane. I mean, okay, Bane's not even going to
Bane's the
stick
X
around.
Factor, I guess.
No, he's not. He's gone. He's off. So, Night
Maybe
Stalker...
he'll decide to come back once he's... It depends how they leave the lane, so... Because plus PL can... they can put a lot of pressure on the enemy, so they might want the Bane there from the start.
Yeah, now the Bane is coming all the way back. Barash taking a bit of harass, but of course there's going to be J4 all right there ready to heal, and actually has to use the Brain Stat pretty early. Supreme is kind of running up there, kind of trying to zone, but he's not actually hitting anyone, and finally decides to go back in CS. I think this lane is really hard for the Night Stalker. On the upside, he'll get earlier levels, and that means someone else can take over mid while he ganks.
Yeah, but it's really choreographed when he moves away from the lane, so the first night time's probably going to be really hard for him to pull anything off unless it's TP rotations.
100%. Now, we have an aggro tri-lane, now that J4's up here, being run against the anti-mage, and he is having no fun. He has 1 CS to PL, having 4. I mean, he's now starting to get some under the tower, it looks like. This is rough.
They pushed the wave, so he hasn't
Yeah.
actually had much chance to CS yet, so he's
Also, they pulled.
probably going to catch up here.
Yeah. Pulled, and then they stole the creeps, so he didn't get them back at a nice position, but he'll get a few creeps, and as you said, be relatively caught up. I still think that lane not super favorable for him. And down bottom, I mean, I guess Nisha is happy about this, but so is the Nyx. He can stay in experience range, even if he can't CS after there are more levels in the Ion Shell.
But with the build he went, going for the double mango on top of the really high base regen, he's going to be fine CSing, and maybe he just has to ferry a bottle out, maybe crow once or twice. Health pull up, and he'll be fine in this lane, I think. Just if Darkseid can manage to push the lane in and then manage to maybe go for some jungle creeps so he gets more out of the lane.
Now, L has been hanging out mid for quite a while, and this actually really surprises me. And Night Stalker's actually going on to Barash, needs probably a little bit of help, and it's just going to be that harassment backwards, and we can hear Barash popping a salve. I am really surprised by how much farm the Night Stalker is actually able to get. Of course, all of this is the Bane being present, but it does feel like, you know, Razor's a lane dominator, and the Night Stalker's doing better than we expected.
Yeah, and as I said, one, he messed up his first link, so that's a really big deal for the first 30 seconds of the lane. Night Stalker doesn't have to worry about CSing at that point. And on top of that, with the Bane being there, sure they're sacrificing the anti-mage a tiny bit, but I don't think the Bane's going to be able to do too much in that lane. And they're spreading the experience better across the map. So the Bane will actually be a bit more relevant, but he should be able to survive this hasted Razor.
Ooh.
Still
He's-
60 damage.
He's just going to take quite a bit of tower damage, and if he's not careful, Cheshire Cat might get the better of him, but Nisha pops a salve, walks it off, getting... Oh, he has the soul ring if he just goes to the side shop, and he's actually thinking about going for the kill onto Cheshire Cat. He's got a little bit of the burn going, but immediately gets stunned in 2 ways, and now taking more tower hits. He needs to get on out of there.
Burnt both mangoes. This is a game-winning decision-making process from Nisha.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't go down there,
It's definitely good that he uses the mangoes, because he ended up getting enough CS out of the lane, so his bottle's now coming on the chicken. Mid's probably telling him, no, you can't crow.
yeah, it really
As he's
sucks with
actually going down,
Barash.
so-
Exactly, he's our first blood. I'm really surprised by this. They're doing an excellent job of just making it so that he can't get any damage from those static links. Like, the moment the static link comes out, either the... if it's on... The Nightmare's coming out, or people are just walking away because there's 2 of them and they don't have to be scared, and then a regen rune to top it all off. And Supreme, he starts up there and they immediately back out on top lane saying, hey, it just turned nighttime, maybe we should get out of here. So a nice win for alternate, and it does put them a little bit ahead and force the rotation from the Tusk in mid, which makes their tri-lane up top. I mean, now it's a defensive dual lane.
And the anti-mage is still getting decent CS. Sure, he's a bit behind the PL, which you'd expect, but it's by no means bad. He's managed to get a PMS, a Ring of Health, so his sustain is definitely there.
Yeah. So not having nearly as rough of a time as we maybe would expect from this tri-lane, which has resumed being a tri-lane. And now Cheshire Cat on the bottom lane we can see still having a lot of trouble. I mean, I don't expect him to have an easy time down here, but he is maybe going to die to this Ion Shell. He's not careful.
Probably going to have to ferry a Salvo Crow as soon as he gets the chance. That's just how you have to play this lane. You're going to have to expend some of your money or the chicken's time. Pressure Darkseid does.
Now, this does mean that this will not only be a richer Darkseid than we're used to seeing, but also a much higher level since he's not being zoned at all. Do you feel like this is one of those where, I mean, he'll get level 9 earlier, do you just try to fight with your team, or do you think the game plan is still just have exotic deer sit and farm for ages?
I think you definitely make use of the fact you're going to have a well-farmed high-level Night Stalker that's currently trying to smoke gang, actually going in top.
Yeah, they are. They burnt all the mana onto Tron, and now they drop the Tombstone. He manages to eat his mango and get some more, but they've already taken out the Dazzle, and the Snowball, I don't know if it's going to save lives. And they pop the Nightmare onto Tron, but they miss. Oh, that really well played on the Ice Shards from Big Num, getting them out, but I think he'll still fall, unfortunately. They didn't get the carry, though, and I think that's really good for Arcade Power Rangers.
And Nyx gets the solo kill bottom, which is really big deal.
Yeah, it's looking like maybe just Darkseid overextended, took some of that spiked carapace, wasn't expecting to take that amount of damage, and Nyx managed to get the better of him.
As when you burn like a lot of your health on the Soul Ring and maybe trading a few hits, tanking some neutral creeps or whatever, then the Nyx has the best damage to finish you off. But now they're looking to swap the lanes, knowing that the Night Stalker can move around a lot. They want the PL to be in the safest lane possible. And the Nyx also picked up an Invis Rune, has 10 seconds left until his Vendetta's around. So he can make some things happen now.
Yeah, so well played, Nyx. He's chillaxing in mid, acting all cool. Now they're gonna go for the stun. Do they have the damage here with the heal bomb? I think they do, and he can't get away even though it's nighttime. We're gonna see Night Stalker go down, and I mean, that's just rough. There's no way he could have known about the Invis Rune unless he saw it picked up, which he didn't. So.
And his Midas is on the chicken, so
Ooh.
Value kill, value kill.
I did not realize his Midas was on the chicken. So yeah, that's actually really value just from the standpoint of he's losing out time and more gold than he normally would being dead.
But they don't know that, so it's still a really good kill though. As you say, not getting any rune vision coming out from the wards, so they can't know about things like that.
I'm actually really surprised by Alternate's amount of vision. We can take a look here at the dire vision. Yeah, this is a nice defensive ward up in the jungle to make sure that Alternate are aware of rotations onto the anti-mage, but it feels like when you're running a Night Stalker who wants to be so mobile in this first 8 minutes, having a few deep wards, maybe one here, maybe one actually behind the tower or there, so that you know when you can dive when heroes are low, really helpful.
I think that's what they'll be planning to do on the second nighttime around the 12-minute mark, because the first nighttime, as I said in the start, it's really easy to know where the Night Stalker is going to move, and you wanted the defensive wards for the anti-mage, as you were saying earlier, so it'll probably be their next set of wards. And as you were saying about the Darkseid, this is what they want to do with him, get the Night Stalker just running around killing people.
Yeah, Ion Shell plus Void plus Crippling Fear. Dazzle has no time to Shallow Grave, but it is daytime, so suddenly he hits for a lot less. Tron coming in does have a bottle containing a haste, and he may be able to do some damage here, but he is going down quickly. They have a Snowball coming out to them, and I think Nisha might be the one that they try to go for. Night Stalker completely blocked off. He's trying to get on in there. Can he pick off Tron? No, he can't because of that haste. He should be able to catch up Big Nun. He is being slowed up, and he can't puddle through this, and now he's just going for the TP out. Oh goodness, he gets stunned by Nyx, and Supreme gonna fall again. With that, Arcade Power Rangers have tied up the kill score.
Yeah, it's really big that they were able to get the rotations in on time. Haste Rune's just unfortunate for ATN. But despite that, the two cores are still really far ahead. Night Stalker's topping their net worth by 1,000. The Anti-Mage has now surpassed the PL due to the fact they swapped the lanes. So it's still looking really good for ATN.
Yeah, I would love to see more impact from Robert on the Undying. I feel like we had the one Tombstone dropped up top, and we're 9 minutes in. We should be seeing more Zombie Man action.
Yeah, I really think around the next nighttime it's going to hype up a lot. Because
Oh.
the Night Stalker doesn't have his ultimate skilled yet,
Radiant's top
so
tower is under
He
attack.
might die
Reasons-
first. He walks right under a sentry. Cheshire Cat realizing he needs to get out, and Dazzle is going to pick himself up a huge bounty. He's going to be very happy. Oh, PL. No, Dazzle gets it. I think Dazzle deserves that, you know? He's poor support man.
yeah, it's one of those where any gold you can give your supports is extremely valuable. Especially around Night Stalker, you want to have like the right vision out. You want to make sure they don't have vision, most importantly.
Yeah. Now, taking a look around at levels, none of the supports have hit those really wonderful ultimates yet, and I think that could be another game changer. Not sure if Undying will take the Flesh Golem at 6, but of course it does mean he can have more levels in either Decay or Soul Rip. Whatever he's into, that is a ward that's going to get dewarded. They're actually snowballing down to the low ground. They put the Ion Shell onto Robert, but they know the Tombstone's on cooldown, and everybody's just going to wander away, not wanting to take that engagement, while Night Stalker back to farming mid as he waits for the next nighttime.
And there's actually a lot of contention around the runes this game because there's 3 bottles coming out from the side of Arcade on top of ATN also having the one from the Night Stalker.
So, pretty funny, actually, when, as you said, we've got 4... Yeah, we got 3 bottles in the mix, and... Does Razor not have one, or is it being crowed? Yeah, we have 4 bottles, as you said, in the mix. I mean, how are you meant to get anything done with the runes when everybody's bottom crowing? It's a bit silly. Now, Dazzle,
They needed
maybe?
to do it though.
Yeah, I think a lot of their
The
lanes
can't
were
sustain.
rough. Looks like we're having a fight down bottom. I'm pretty sure that, again, it's just going to be a drop tombstone to get them out. But the Ice Shard's really nice. Robert G is blocked away. Has to walk around. That's 4 men in 1 tombstone. You can't get away from that. They're actually TP down. They're TPing down more Night Stalker Supreme with the Invis rune. Thinking about making something happen. It isn't actually nighttime, though. He would have to pop his ult, and, you know, you have to decide, are we ulting in? Are we opening with the auto attack or the void or something? It looks like they're going to try to go on PL, though Tron has a salve and is bottling, and now Nisha under a lot of fire at the same time as Night Stalker still stalking up the Dazzle and so on. If he can get a quick kill on the Dazzle, maybe with the Crippling Fear or something, there we go. Immediately throws out the silence. He pops his ult as well, trying to get the damage done, and if he can just catch up, there's the Ion Shell, but the Shallow Grave comes out. They'll be the Nightmare, so they'll ultimately get it, but I think they could have maybe gotten 2 if they could have secured that kill a little bit faster. Sigil doing work there, slowing down the attacks.
Dire's structures
It's
are
really strong
fortified.
spell for 1 point. But it's still pressure, and they're actually getting the race in mid as well, maybe.
If they can catch out Boris, there should be nobody else to help him out, and I think he's just going to go down. Cheshire Cat might be able to get the return kill on Supreme. They need a little bit of help. He eats a mango, in fact, and now Undying, walking forward, did take that Flesh Golem at level 6. Bunch of amp damage for everyone. Can they stop him from getting the haste? Oh, they Nightmare him, and Supreme is going to pick it up instead. Cheshire Cat, very unhappy about this, going to fall. There are some ice shards coming out, but I think Big No may have walked into his death as well. Night Stalker pounding away at him, pops himself into the snowball, and they all immediately retreat, saying, hey, you're going to be coming all the way back into us. And Night Stalker, he doesn't quite outrun the punch, but he doesn't quite outrun the snowball. Takes the punch. Gonna be fine, though. Who cares about a little punch when you're a Night Stalker who has, I think, 7? Oh, he has 8 armor now because he's finished up them booties.
On top of that, Antimace just takes the tier 1 top. He's like 600 gold away from his Battle Fury. So this aggressive lane from Arcade, while it started off really well, it's accomplished nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's... I have to DC for a while. It's actually fantastic, his timing on this. Like... I mean, because of the nerf to the creeps a few patches ago, where their gold isn't as big, people were seeing much later timings on Battle Fury, and he doesn't actually, this anti-mage, we can see he only has 1 assist. That's not a lot. So he's doing really well getting this up so early, farming the jungle stacks when he's not farming the wave. Technically they have 2 towers, even though this one down bottom was a deny, so really well done.
Yeah, and the extra gold from the deny is still like 3 or 4 creeps. I'm not exactly sure how much it is. It's been a while since I've remembered it. More pause action.
Okay.
Again, having some problems.
Yeah, there are still, there's still a bunch of Reborn fun.
Yeah, considering the amount of money this game makes, you'd think the game would be slightly more bug-free.
No, you wouldn't. Having worked on products that everybody uses, you'd be surprised at the bugs, like, bugs that affect over, like, 10,000 people, but if it's not enough of your customer base, it's not high priority. And in their case, 10,000 people probably aren't enough, so. And especially if the bug is sporadic. But yeah, they probably don't have a lot of resources. I mean, it's a big game. Lots of weird stuff going down. And as you said, you want them to fix effigies over bugs.
I want them to make sure, like, it actually really annoyed me when Reborn came out because the amount of things that just didn't feel the same, the amount of bugs there were, like, considering I was like scrimming on a daily basis when it came out, I didn't want to play because it felt so wrong.
There were a huge amount, and I think part of the problem with when the way Reborn came out, especially for competitive Dota, was that it was the only people who'd been testing the Reborn client were people who were playing for funsies, and there weren't really good incentives. If I recall, right, they had just said you can get maybe some extra compendium points, but nobody cared.
I mean, testing the new client's always good because you know it's going to be implemented at some point anyway, so you might as well get used to it.
We have a gank attempt on Tron. Is he going to get it? He uses the doppel. Can they pick out which one is right? They know, though. He is fiend scripted, and he is being brought down. And there is a lot of rotation coming up. This is a big smoke. Can they get the return kill? It might be that they're not thinking about it, but the immediate nightmare onto Cheshire Cat. Barish is up here. There is still a tombstone in the mix, so Barish may just back out. A lot of zombies popping up onto him. So, and then back into this game, we are 5-9. A lead coming out for alternate. Maybe not what everyone expected. They're also about 5,000, probably 7,000 when this calms down. And, oh, that reminds me, I have to go offline. Oh, sometimes I cost online. Not today. I think what's almost more worrying is this experience lead, because as we can see, it means that all of the supports, everybody having ults, as Anti-Mage gets punched up and just doesn't care. All of the supports on alternate have their ults, and Dazzle still isn't rocking his. Weave is a huge spell, or having more points in Shallow Grave. Fantastic as well. So, all of those good. As we see in Vendetta coming out of the Nyx Assassin, they've actually got someone behind them, though. It's Supreme. He's invisible. He walks under a sentry, but nobody cares. There's going to be a lot of damage being done to the dogs here, but Supreme, can he get anything done on the backlines with the help of the Tombstone? I think Robert needs to come in a little bit closer. He could pop that Flesh Golem and help them out, but instead, I think L is just going to try to stop the aggression and wander away. And again, this is kind of the downside of having an anti-mage, right? They're not really looking to fight properly here. They're going to lose Robert, and they've also already lost the dogs here.
Yeah, that was just one small misstep though, because they got the kill on PL top, they dodged the smoke gank, which was really opportune timing, and they went back to farming. So overall, they're still really ahead on the kill exchanges and how well this anti-mage is farming. If the Darkseer dies a few times, it's not the biggest deal. He's still got his mech, he's still got his items.
Okay, they immediately Fiend's Grip after the missed ice shards, but it actually blocks them out as well, and he can't get the Void off in time, and now Supreme, maybe in a spot of trouble. He needs a little bit of help. The Snowball was back, a beautiful play from Big Num. He just got away from that. They actually take out Supreme on the backline. Nisha drops the wall for that. Nobody's going to be walking through that one if they can help it. Yeah, Bar's just going to path around or not even bother pulsing through. And just as I said, Arcade being quite a bit behind, they are doing good work to catch back up.
The Night Stalk is worth a lot right now. Before that, he was way ahead of everyone except the Razor.
Yeah. And additionally, this Nyx Assassin, it looks like he's going for a Midas. He's going to start having nice levels, and maybe if he can get a Dagon. Sure, Anti-Mage has Spell Shield, but it's still a lot more damage output, and Nyx might be able to pick him off, especially if he sees that the Blink is down like that, although Anti-Mage feeling like something's up and hiding behind his tower. So, Exotic Deer, good map presence.
I think he just caught a glimpse on him with the sentry, which also prevented the initiation when they went for the smoke gank.
Yeah.
ATM being really on top of their warding. Admittedly, that's like the only sentry plus ward. They've got the one in their own woods, kind of protecting the anti-mage as well as maybe scouting for some vision.
Yeah. So, okay, they go for another smoke. I feel like this is... I felt like it was the third smoke in 7 minutes. It's apparently not, or one just came off cooldown, because they have another in the bank. Not sure if this one will connect, and if it does, Exotic Deer obviously going to be a bit upset, but their smoke, it is drawing to a close. Albeit, they could maybe go down from the high ground. They see exactly where AM is. Oh goodness, he just blinks up. Can they take advantage of this? But it's going to be on cooldown again. And now instead they're going in. They're snowballing onto the Bane. Is there anybody around to help? He can get off that brain sap, maybe buy a little bit of time. But instead his team isn't rotating in the slightest. And he's going to be their sacrifice. I think too many of them in the jungle. And now Nightstalker pops that ult. I think he just saw Cheshire Cat on the edge of that
Dire's
sentry.
top tower is under attack.
Yeah, and that's still really good though
Dire's
because
structures are
they got the
fortified.
smoke, they're getting the tower, and
Yeah,
the one kill was more than they were going to get.
100%.
But on the flip side, the anti-mage just TP's bottom,
Radiant's
pushes out the
bottom
wave, and he's
tower
applying
is
pressure
under
to
attack.
tier 2 at 18 minutes in. They're
Dire's
actually going to get a
top
kill on the
tower
Tusk
has
as well.
Yeah.
One
Anti-mage.
good move by Arcade, just completely
Radiant's
overran
structures
by
are
ATN.
fortified.
Yeah, but now Nisha being caught out, and that is a DD on Cheshire Cat. It is going to be wearing out. Nisha just going for the TP, and with the DD gone, Cheshire Cat can't do enough, even with the weave coming out. So they get the tier 2, as you mentioned, and alternate, even though they have lost a few kills, this should be putting them right back around that 5,000 gold and experience mark. So, an anti-mage, he has finished, he has been farming up a storm. I think the Vlad's is coming to him. There it is. Now he can walk on that Monta, and I do believe, maybe except for the Razor, but maybe even the Razor, he kills everybody he touches with the Monta.
If there's any form of lockdown, which is pretty much only the Fiend's Grip, doesn't even need the Manta at this point. If Fiend's Grip is just enough.
Yep.
But Arcade are going to be pretty grouped up, I think. Maybe the PL's going to be the one on his own, but he's not the easiest hero to initiate on.
So, looking around at the items we've got, Nyx Assassin is rocking that Midas we talked about earlier. Dazzle has the Lost Smoke, I think. Yeah, Lost Smoke on him. And already Mono Arcane Boots, or as I call them, Mono Boots. Tusk is going to be their mech carrier, which I really do like. I think he's a great Guardian Greaves hero, especially since if he can get off that crippling fear, he can snowball save a lot of people. And Razor finished up the Sandunyasha, not farming poorly at all, despite not having an easy tool. They shouldn't have seen that in mid, and now Bane is going to be the one right up there, but they see this, they do the wall, the vacuum, as well, putting a beautiful amount of damage out. The Dazzle's already gone down, but there we see a big heal coming out. Can't save the Bane, but here comes AM, and he is almost killed Cheshire Cat. He actually goes back in for more, realizing he has to fight out Tron. Nisha taking too much damage, though. Where are the decays? Barish finally goes down, but so does Razor, actually, and they end up being able to save the Doxy. I'm really surprised by this. Exotic Deer trying to fight, not sure which one he should be fighting on. There is going to be a blink forwards, but he's already blown that Mono Void, and on the other side of the team fight, they're trying to go in deep, but can't. Tron is just going to doppel to the low ground, and actually pops the drums, goes away. Tusk had rolled back into them as I was watching that Benny Hill chase over there. I definitely thought the Doxia was going down, but they killed both the Razor and the Nyx Assassin on the back lines, while Anti-Mage poked at Phantom Lancer.
Yeah, and Arcade managed to fight under the wall,
Radiant's
so
middle tower
it gives
has
ATN
fallen.
such a huge advantage. Like, those choke point fights where Arcade aren't strictly stronger in fights, I feel like.
This ward,
Sure, they got like a good...
this sentry did so much work, because the Nyx was actually out ahead in Vendetta. Bane was standing up there. The smoke hadn't broken when the Nyx was going to go, so he didn't know the rest of them were there. But because that ward spotted out the Nyx, they got the hold. He didn't get off the immediate stun, and then wall vacuum.
Yeah, it continues that they're really good with making sure this Nyx can't initiate from fog.
Now, it does
They've got
get
the sentries
expensive,
everywhere.
right? This could be something which in the long run maybe hurts Bane or Undying's item progression.
They aren't that important though, and if they can stop the fights going badly at this stage, it is well worth it.
Ice Shard's just off the mark. Cheshire Cat not going to be able to make that latch, and
They're gonna
it
kill
is
the
rough.
Dazzle.
Yeah, Dazzle going down really fast, even committing the vacuum just for a little extra lockdown, making sure he doesn't get off that shallow grave. They are being vicious, but I feel like they're playing their lineup perfectly. I mean, we were worried about the mid-Night Stalker. I know I was worried about the mid-Night Stalker because I feel like he doesn't scale into late game as well as someone like the Razor, and this Night Stalker is making huge amounts of space. Supreme has been involved in 12 kills.
When the hero can get rolling, he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's exactly what they kind of needed in the game. Darkseid can't do too much when Undying and Bane are like the other two heroes for him to fight with. He needs someone else that can just run at them, which the Night Stalker does perfectly. Iron
Yeah.
Shell plus like level 4 Void at 7 minutes, anyone dies to that.
Exactly.
He was playing around it
So-
really well. He got a really good timing on his Midas. He died once or twice, so his axe was a tiny bit delayed. But they have everything they need right now. And he can probably transition to some kind of aura carrier for the anti-mage into the late game, or he can become more of a second core himself. He wants to go like AC Basher maybe.
That
Not
feeling...
strictly-
Oh, I was
Sorry,
just
go on.
saying that feeling when you're the mid-hero and you're just like, you can be an aura carrier for the anti-mage. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
know
it's
what you
kinda
mean,
like
it's very
the-
valuable, but it just, it hurts a little.
He could also be a second core though, because the amount of farm he's got, getting the early Midas means farm's never going to drop off, and the map vision that the Axe gives him means he's always going to feel safe farming,
Yeah,
as long as he has some kind of detection.
let's discuss farming. We have 580 GPM on this AM, then 500 GPM on the Night Stalker. I mean, yeah, he has a Midas. This is not the farm I was expecting. He has an Aghanims and then 2k gold plus. Like, this guy's kind of rolling in it. And as you said, okay, I wasn't sure if he was going to pick up the armor component of the AC right there, making himself more unkillable. So, this guy's doing well. We got Ghost Scepters on the Undying, no longer worried about a lot of Razor's damage output because, of course, Eye of the Storm is physical as well. And everything out of Dazzle is physical. Walrus Punch, physical.
Yeah, and the gem gets bought by the Undying now, so the Night Stalker doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Should get pulled over to him shortly. I just want to point out, this anti-mage has 260 CS at 23 minutes.
Yeah, no, I was looking at these numbers. It's ridiculous. He's doing...
I would like to see a stat on that. Unfortunately, our statsman is not here today.
Yeah, he's American. They have Thanksgiving today, so I too would have loved to see a stat on that. Whew.
You can do some research on that Dota or wherever it is you people go to.
Yeah, we do dat Dota. I can look it up in between games. Not now though, because that means we will be missing kills more than we. Actually, I don't want to say it because chat will correct me, but I think we've been doing pretty well on the kill cam. Now, looking around, it's definitely at a deficit, right? We're 12,000 gold behind for Arcade Power Rangers. They're not necessarily out of it yet. We've seen PLs come back from worse, but I think Alternate have a great opportunity here to close out the game. I would love to see them take Roshan and then push down the tier 2 mid, maybe just continue all the way down as I make a really bad arrow.
Yeah. And I agree, PLs have come back from worse, but generally the way you can come back as a PL is when you feel safe split pushing, and you have some kind of vision, or you have some way of catching the heroes out. He's actually trying on the anti-mage, but he's fine.
He just blinks away, and he's actually quite tanky having the Manta up. I mean, it's only 1 point in Spell Shield, but you can see that it kind of diminishing returns. And additionally, Tron, he doesn't have that Diffusal yet, so he's not hitting, not only is he not hitting hard with all those illusions, he doesn't even have the casual Yasha that we see a lot of people go into. So those illusions aren't exactly huge damage output, as Robert stacks the camp for his opponents. Oh, Nisha's gonna come take it. Okay. We're gonna see Cheshire Cat chillax and hoping Nisha gets all low. Robert is close enough to bring out a Soul Rip, but with only 2 of them there, it might not be enough. He drops the Tombstone, but I think Nisha has fallen, and Robert realizing he needs to get all the way out of there. A vacuum! And Nisha, is he just gonna surge away? This is ridiculous! He manages to get out there on a sliver of health. He was down to something like 30. I mean, Guardian Greaves kicked in, I think, really being the saving grace there. When you're below 20% health, you get 15 armor regen, 15 armor, and then 15 health regen. And I have to say, I'm pretty sure that's what saved Nisha's life.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure Bignum thought the kill was going to happen when Walrus Punch came out, but Guardian Greaves doing work. And that's a soul-crushing kill, because you commit so many heroes for that, and he gets away with, as you said, a sliver of health. And they don't get anything done on the map meanwhile. Like, Anti-Mage is just doing exactly what he wants to do. He's gonna have a basher as soon as he can the recipe, which is a few hundred away.
And they own this jungle. They even managed to catch the dust out onto Cheshire Cat between the 2 of them. Not sure that they have enough damage, especially with someone coming in, but they're making his life hell and making it known that this is their jungle. You know,
yeah,
Oh, the Diffusal is finished though.
They're not even going to lose a hero here. Okay, they lose the Tombstone, but they're still forcing the PR around the map where he's not farming that efficiently.
Yeah, I thought illusions were meant to do less damage to the Tombstone now. Maybe I misread those notes. Either way, Supreme, he's getting Walrus punched up. The stun misses, though, because he's in the air during it. And Supreme, can he just wander away? He pops that ult, and we're gonna see they've got the anti-mage. He is just pushing down bottom. Supreme is most certainly dead. The wall doesn't come out in time for the vacuum. Again, the Guardian Greaves keeping people alive for longer than maybe it should, but we can see anti-mage is getting this tower down to half health and maybe further. It's only got a quarter of its life left now. Oh, just anti-mage things coming out.
Yeah, this is pretty much the story of the game now.
And that was even a big kill. That was a huge kill for them, but it does feel like you might get these huge kills. And yeah, Anti-Mage, next time this happens, Anti-Mage is getting that tower and pounding away at your ranged racks.
Yeah, and he's already unkillable, so it just makes it even harder, and he's probably going to be able to get kills instead of backing off in that situation. You feel confident.
Now, looking around, Ghost Scepter... When someone has the Ghost Scepter on, you can still attack them, right? You just can't... They don't take any damage. You can still waste your attacks?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to double check. There are some interactions where you actually can't click on the person, and I know that, of course, when you
That's
have
how it was
Diffusal...
before.
Yeah, I feel like that got changed, and
Yeah,
I just
I'm
don't
pretty
remember
sure it
which
did.
patch it was. So I'm
Oh, it
sitting
was
here...
ages ago.
Okay. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can attack them still, but I just wanted to double check. Either way, the point I'm trying to get at there is now that the Diffusal's out, at the very least that he can drain their mana. So Tron, not completely useless, but at the same time it does mean if Undying is caught out by a lot of these other heroes who only have physical damage coming out of them, I mean, other than Razor's Plasma Field and I guess the Mana Burn, their lineup's almost entirely physical damage on Arcade. And that's normally not a bad thing. But since Alternate are ahead and able to itemize around this and pick up so much armor and things like Ghost Scepters, it's coming back to bite them.
Tusk has a tiny bit of magic, Nyx has some, but as you say, like, it's not enough. It's fine at 15 minutes into the game, but at 30 you need more from your course.
Yeah.
Razor's been trying, like, his farm is not too bad considering how little of the map they can actually get onto. Same for Tron. But
Yeah.
it's just so far behind. Like, the anti-mage is pretty much got equal to both of them.
And if you told me earlier that they would need an AC early on Arcade to deal with these Guardian Greaves, I would have said that you're crazy. But it's what it's feeling like. And as you mentioned, if the Night Stalker, yeah, he's working towards, he is only about 1,000 gold off of his own AC. So suddenly they will have to deal with the Guardian Greaves or also the AC coming out of Supreme. It's getting really hard for Arcade to make their physical damage do any work, even having Dazzle with a Weave.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the anti-mage decides, alright, I'll pick up my Abyssal after we take this tower, and then probably a Butterfly next. So it's going to be even harder, because Razor's not a great MKB hero. Phantom Lance is definitely not a hero that wants to pick it up because he wants stat items. Not too bad for the hero, but it's not ideal.
Oh, he doesn't manage to kill the creep first, but Tron is not winning this man
he's
fight.
dead.
He's getting stunned up. He might not be dead if Exotic D, I can't find the real one. And that was a very ambitious ultimate, of course. PL being a hero that doesn't have a lot of mana. A mana void like that, not necessarily going to do good work. But
I didn't realize he still had a stick.
Yeah.
That's probably what saved him. And the mech coming in as well really helped.
So now L gonna get that tower denied down bottom. It's still something nice that goes towards Arcade, but it's not the best, you know.
Yeah, generally you might even opt to leave those towers up just for map control, but it's one of those where Arcade could probably try and backdoor it to get the extra gold, so it's safer to go for the deny. And it's not like you need map presence right now. The Night Stalker's doing it all for you. You still have all your tier 2s. So when Roche respawns in like next 5 to 6 minutes or so, they're still gonna have plenty of presence around it.
I feel like... Yeah, okay, they did get that. That is a stolen gem. It just doesn't show it on the stats. They've done a really good job. We can see here, this is Arcade's vision. It's very sad and pithy. And this is the Alternate's vision, which is going to start going away just because the Nyx does have the stolen gem taken off the Night Stalker when he died. But at the same time, I mean, it does feel like Alternate, despite losing a gem, despite losing the Night Stalker a few times, they're in a very dominant position. Now, this smoke, I don't know if it's actually going to find anyone, but they are all grouped up together, Arcade. Yeah. This is the hard part of the game, I always find. When you've gotten all the tier 2s down, you need to get your enemies out of their base. You've only got like a minute and a half left on the Aegis, so now you have to siege high ground, but not having an obvious way to get a pick off to make that siege easier.
They don't have to though, that's the thing. They're not on a clock. Sure, it would be great to take Iraq so they're in even more of a commanding position, but Anti-Mage still has room to grow. He's got his Butterfly coming out in 200 gold, opting to pick up that before the Abyssal, which I think is completely fine, knowing that he's not going to get too many pick-off opportunities. So getting the faster farming, the faster pushing item is a much better choice.
Now Anti-Mage has up the Butterfly, he's gonna have to, he might just let the Aegis expire, pick that up, he probably wants bots as well, and then as you said, gonna swap out those Vlads, he might finish the Abyssal before swapping out the Vlads, and then having one of the supports pick it up, but he has a bunch of options, and he's huge. I mean...
Yeah, and he's not gonna slow down anytime soon.
So it's going well. Now we're going to be seeing the game slow down a little bit. I think Anti-Mage is going to wait for either the next Aegis or wait for his team to make something happen and just work again on this top tower. It's sitting at 410 health. If there's a team fight, even if his team gets wiped, they can get it. But this is a max Roshan respawn time. Oh, goodness. Okay, it's like 20... It's like 10 seconds off of being max, but that is actually somewhat painful for alternate, but great for our Power Rangers.
I'm not so sure on that because ATN, they don't have to get the Aegis for anything to happen. They can keep doing what they're doing. It's going to make Arcade feel somewhat safer if they ever manage to get into a fight, but with the amount of deficit they're at right now, I don't think fighting's an a good choice anyway.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to constantly worry. It's like 2 minutes until it can spawn, but they're going to have to constantly worry about that and not knowing that it's going to be a really long respawn, like us casters have the pleasure of. They're going to have to commit a lot around the pit, and it's going to let ATM put a lot of pressure, probably on the top lane.
Additionally, I feel like they started a little bit of a push up here for Arcade, and then they had stuff hitting their tower, and they rotated 4 home. I mean, I feel like if you see someone there, you rotate back, but the threat of this Anti-Mage and how fast he's going to take towers, because now, of course, he hits even harder with the butterfly, it's scary.
Yeah, they tried to smoke with a wave pushing in to, like, their tier 3, and it might just be a desperation thing. It's like, okay, we didn't actually realize the wave was that close because we just feel like we have to do something. But ATN saw that, playing very disciplined, making sure none of the heroes are in susceptible positions for the most part. On top of that, there's a DD rune, which is going to stay there for another 90 seconds or so if forced to pick it up.
Yeah. Now, we do see Cheshire Cat going around trying to get all of these wards using that gem that he's stolen, but they have picked up another gem from Night Stalker, and he's also finished off that AC and has a good amount of gold in the bank just in case something goes down and he needs to buy back. We can also see that Darkseer has the Blink, has the Guardian Grease, has the Shivas, and we have a Fiend's Grip coming out on Cheshire Cat. Snowball gonna save his life, Ghost Scepter immediately coming out. There's a wall, they have to walk back through it if they want to go anywhere, but pretty much a Ravage coming out of Big Num with that Impale, and now Cheshire Cat, he is being brought down, but Robert taking a lot of damage from Tron as well. They have taken out the Undying, and now the Tombstone, while it's doing a lot of work, they're just gonna TP out because guess who's knocking on their front door? Exotic Deer is taking their racks. There is a glyph there. He went for the melee as well, so he either has to get this or he has just wasted a bunch of time, but he gets it super easily. He no longer has the Aegis, but he is just gonna blink away, and it's exactly what we talked about. They end up getting Cheshire Cat on the sidelines too. I mean, not only can you argue that they won the fight, trading a support for their opposing offlaner, they also got a Rax.
Yeah, and they won the fight 4v5, so there's not much more you can ask for.
Yeah.
Really smart idea as well, taking the fight with the heroes and then making sure they can push a lane with the anti-mage.
So, now, I wanted to double check because I believe that Power Rangers was doing pretty well in their group. I don't think that they're slouching in the slightest, but Alternate, I think, is...
They're out, right?
Yeah, I was pretty sure they were already... Yeah, Alternate already has 2 losses. Actually, Power Rangers only have 1 win and 1 loss. So if they lose here, they will be tied with Team Empire and need to play a tiebreaker. Team Alternate is, as mentioned, right out. Oh, actually, they would have to play a 3-way tie because Alliance swept their group. So fun, 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 everyone. I would love to see some tiebreaker action. That would probably not be played for another couple of days, though, just because it'd have to get scheduled. But Alternate can actually, yeah, maybe still qualify.
So that means Empire's still technically in as well if ATN sweep the series.
No, they would have to play in the tiebreaker. Everybody in this group.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They still have a chance at that point.
So, but.
So they're all rooting for ATN now, because I'm actually really surprised Empire are going down out of this group.
Yeah, I mean, it was a group where Alliance swept everyone. It was during, you know how Alliance during the Mages run, very powerful. We have a smoke gank that's attempting to go on the Night Stalker, who is getting ganked. If they get, the Ice Shards being off the mark, that is the end of that. And Nisha actually blinks in, so maybe they'll get a kill here after all. Nisha running around Surge, she needs those Ice Shards to go down, and he just immediately goes for the TP. They don't quite know where he is. I actually think they could have potentially engaged into that, but taking the safer route of TPing out. And as I say, taking the safer route, Supreme just sitting in there, losing armor as we speak because he's, you know, got the weave on him. He maybe is gonna go down. They have a gem for you, Supreme. What are you doing? Your team wasn't there. I don't know how they save him. They nightmare him up to delay the process. AM is thinking about coming in. Supreme is still alive, and they're now using the Fiend's Grip onto Barris. They get the wall vacuum. They've got the Darkseer back in here. Cheshire Cat is still trying to fight everyone off. Another big impale coming out, stopping Exotic Deer, but he is still there, ready to fight. He takes out Barris, and he is ready for more. He's actually getting low himself, has no mana, and they hold the GG right there. And that's gonna be it. We're going to a game 2. Let's see if Power Rangers can bring it back, because this is a best of 3.
I feel like they need to change up how they draft or something if they give ATN the same thing, because there was just no pressure coming out from them. As soon as like they lost their aggressive, well, they didn't lose their aggressive lane, but they were kind of forced to move because Nightstalker's the hero that can rotate in and completely kill aggressive tri-lanes. So ATN just coming out with really good strategy. And while we kind of questioned it in the draft a tiny bit, it makes a lot of sense with how they've played it.
Yeah, so a really fantastic job being done by the lineup of Alternate. Excited to see what they have for us all in Game 2. I have no idea what goes on with this. I'm gonna Google it. My green screen, every time we turn the camera on, it has to be, like, reset. And I don't... It's not how that's meant to work. So either way, folks, we will go back to the waiting screen. We'll be ready with the next game right quick. Once again, I have been Llama Down Under. You can see in the top corner, there's my name. We've also got PqMz commentating with me. We would love your feedback on how to get better and hope to see you in the next set. You can leave your feedback for us in Llama Down Under, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, because that's where I hang out. So see you all shortly. Have a good one, and please enjoy these words from our sponsors.
Exciting.